Davy. I'm awesome. Welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies I love, the alternative B-rated cold style flicks. And when you talk about cold flicks, there is a specific director's name who comes up pretty often. This was technically his last legitimate film, and it was released in 1960. Written, directed, and produced by Ed Wood, co-produced by Roy Reed, and made and distributed by Headliner Productions. Ladies and gentlemen, The Sinister Urge. The movie opens with a girl running through a park until she finds a payphone. Operator! Please deposit 25 cents. You know, calling the police, even back before they had 911, was free. This unknown man pulls out of the payphone, and then the next thing we know, he's dragging her dead body. So we know he killed her, but we really don't know what's going on. As he's about to push her into the little creek, he hears something and runs off. Then we see our lead, I guess, Lieutenant Matt Carson, played by Ken Dunn. He was a very experienced veteran actor. This was not even his first Ed Wood film. I mean, technically it'd be the first one that anybody would see. But years later they found a film that was made before this that I already reviewed, called Night of the Ghouls. He was Dr. Acula. He gets a call about the body.
Found another girl. Where? Same place, the park.
Why won't these girls just go die somewhere else? That was Sergeant Randy Stone, played by Duke Moore, who was also in Night of the Ghouls, and also in the pilot to The Final Curtain, which was used in Night of the Ghouls. Low-budget, crappy directors tend to work with the same people. Then again, they also tend to work with the same stuff. For example, that office they're sitting in was also used in Night of the Ghouls. So there's a lot of Night of the Ghouls cameos in this. When they get to the girl, Sergeant Stone has an idea.
I'll give you 50 to 1 this girl will connect with that smut picture racket, too.
Smut! So this movie is foreshadowing Ed Wood's future. So now...
There we are, everybody. This is a raid.
It's an awfully small raid. They ask about Johnny Ride, the director and producer of all these smut films. And of course the cameraman, Jeffy, claims he doesn't know where he is. But instead they find...
Oh, it looks like we hit the jackpot this time.
They're gonna confiscate all those dirty movies. Because this is back when pornography laws were kind of weird. Like, it was kind of legal to make, but federally it was illegal to distribute. Wouldn't be until the 1970s it was completely legal. Now we go back to Carson and Stone talking about how to bring in the suspect for these killings. But make sure you speak up so that boom mic we can clearly see can hear you. Now a taxpayer comes in to complain about their investigation, saying that he pays taxes and that pays their salary, so they need to stop worrying about smut. Because that's what we do. They then tell him, though, how this smut is leading to murders, and show him pictures of the murder scenes. Which, number one, I don't think that they would do that. I don't think they would show evidence of an ongoing investigation with a person that says, well, I'm a taxpayer. And two, are they trying to lead a message here that smut leads to murder? Because, don't get me wrong, I'm not pro-pornography at all, but I have known a lot of people who've been into it, and not one of them have ever killed anybody. At least not that I know of. Johnny Ride goes to tell his boss, Gloria Henderson, all about the raid that just happened. Basically describing exactly what we just saw. So basically there was no point to any of this but to make the movie a little bit longer. But then tells her that they must have a traitor in their midst. They also talk about the girl that was killed in the beginning, Shirley.
It's really too bad she had to learn so much about our mailing operations.
So apparently this killer, Dirk, a name that would later come back in these kinds of movies, is just a hired hand. Then in true Ed Wood fashion, we see some stock footage spliced with the Dirk character. They make it look like he's watching stuff going on at a pizza parlor. But in actuality, every time in this movie you see this pizza parlor footage, it's actually footage from a project that Ed Wood started and was not able to finish, called Hellfire, aka Rock and Roll Kill. To explain what he's doing there and why any of this is going on is because apparently some high schoolers are Gloria's connection to selling this stuff to high schoolers. You'd be very stupid to trust a high schooler, but okay. Then, for no real reason, Dirk calls the police on this fight going on, and we get Carson talking about how these were just two sellers of Gloria's stuff.
They tried fighting it out. See who'd be top dog, or should I say top rat.
I'm just wondering, in the 60s when this was new, did any of you actually buy it? Carson and Randy are talking about a witness they have named Jake who's not really saying much, because he knows.
Talk, and they'd shut him up before he could verify any confession at a trial.
Yeah, it's too bad the police couldn't offer, like, I don't know, witness protection or something.
Duh!
Then we see Dirk in the park again, walk by a girl, and things get heated very quickly. I kind of thought 1960s women weren't this easy, but okay. But she does put the brakes on him, Dirk, when he gets too rough. But it doesn't end well for her. That was all I could actually show, though, because this was the first, definitely not last, Ed Wood movie that would show nudity. Not a lot. Very little, but it did show it. Over to Johnny and Gloria, they are reviewing some of the movies that they make.
At one time, I made good movies.
I wonder if this is what Ed Wood thought later. He was wrong, though. He made legitimate movies, but I wouldn't say they were good. In fact, they were very bad. Like this one.
Who needs good film in this business anyway?
I wonder if that's what he said before any of the movies he made. After we see Carson and Stone talking about the tragedy of these girls. These girls who just came out to Hollywood to make it big and got caught in this ring of smut. And then we see an example of this. A girl named Mary. We see her trying to get an agent.
As much as I'd like to, it would be impossible for me to sign you up.
I can't get an agent myself. Obviously, I can't act. Then we see Mary meeting with Johnny.
I'll work ever so hard.
They really used to talk like that? As they talk, he writes her a check, gives her money to go get some better clothes, get a car, look like an actress. And then she asks what kind of movies he makes.
I think you'll find my type of picture entirely different.
Yeah, most pictures can afford lighting. By the way, as a nice little touch there, all the movie posters in the background are former Ed Wood films. Then, as time goes on and we see that they've written her some more checks, given her quite a bit of money, it's time to make some movies. And they inform her what kind of movies that she's going to be making.
Unless, of course, you'd prefer that I contact your father.
Oh no, not tell Dad! Although, honestly, if it was my daughter, I think I'd rather you just tell me, let me get you out of this before getting into those kinds of movies. And this is how a young starlet gets mixed up in this racket. I guess, you know. I mean, I'm sure that's how it's happened before, but they were just kind of being a little preachy here. But then, we see Dirk break in and sneaking around Gloria's until he finds some pictures of Mary. And this transitions to us seeing Mary at the park beating some ducks. Now, I just gotta say, if all these killings are happening in the same park, then why don't you at least, get some police officers and patrol the park better?
Duh!
Turns out, though, that Dirk left the pictures of Mary with his fingerprints on them. And this is back when people believed that fingerprints was enough to lock somebody in jail. It's not. Because a district attorney would look at that and go, all that proves is that he touched the pictures. But either way, the police are after him. But now we go to Gloria's house, and there's a couple of tough customers that meet with her about taking out Dirk.
The syndicate has big money invested in your business.
Yeah, Gloria, this is why you don't hire psychos. Of course, Gloria goes to Johnny.
I figured that moron was going to cause trouble.
Oh, I'm sorry, for a second there I thought you were talking about the director of this movie. Johnny comes up with a plan to kill Dirk.
Nothing can go wrong.
It already did. We're watching the movie. And then we see a cop in a dress at the park that was there to lure Dirk, but Johnny was there and saved Dirk from the cop. They explained earlier they didn't want to use a female cop because that's dangerous. They're cops. That's what they do. I think it was just another excuse for Ed Wood to put a guy in a dress.
I got a delivery for you to make out of state. Stay there until I send for you.
So you're a delivery boy and a murderer? Like you moonlight as one? But then we see stock footage of a car crashing. But before it crashes, Dirk, played by a very obvious stuntman, jumps out of the freaking car. Like, they didn't get a stuntman that looked anything remotely like the actor. So now that Dirk is alive, what's he gonna do?
Don't try it, Daddy-o.
Yeah, that's what we figured. Johnny convinces Dirk, though, not to kill him, but rather it was Gloria's fault, so let Gloria come back, I'll find out who her backers are, and then you and I will take over her business. Whatever gets this over with. So Dirk hides outside, and when Gloria gets back, Johnny demands to meet with her backers. Gloria says okay, but first she needs to change her clothes. Which is fine. Johnny goes outside to talk to Dirk about this. But when Gloria comes out... Yeah, who the hell did not see that coming? Gloria calls the police to report that Dirk shot Johnny and then ran off. They say they'll be right there. Don't touch anything. So she abides by that. But when they get there...
Dirk! No, that can't be Dirk.
Yeah, again, who the hell didn't see this coming? But now, where's Johnny?
Johnny!
Well, Gloria's got some explaining to do. Even though it was pretty obvious. I mean, heck, it was pretty obvious to every one of us watching. You know the police are going to come over and make this a crime scene, and that's where you hide the gun?
Does the word duh mean anything to you?
But now they got her. They got the murder weapon. They got her fingerprints on it. And they're going to get her to talk. To tell them about her backers. This smut ring is going under. So now this movie needs one more thing. An amazing line to end the movie.
Pornography. A nasty word for a dirty business.
But I guess we're going to have to settle for that. So there you have it. That's the 1960 Ed Wood movie, The Sinister Urge. I don't say classic because this one is definitely not that popular. Granted, I know that none of his movies were really popular, at least not at the time, but this one is often forgot about by Ed Wood fans, and for a good reason. I mean, number one, it's hard to find. Not gonna lie to you. It's why it took me so long to review. It was really hard to find this movie. And heck, when I found it was the first time I actually saw the movie outside of Mystery Science Theater 3000. I had seen that one many times. It's funny, but I'd never seen the movie itself. Like I said, it's not easy to find, unless you want to buy a bootleg copy. And even then, when you encounter fans of Ed Wood movies, this is never, like, high on their list. It was actually written in 1959. Ed Wood had wrote the script, and the producer, Roy Reed, said he'd finance the film, but he wanted him to revise the script a little. And it became this. The original script, it was titled The Racket Queen, which would have been fine, I guess. You could have been talking about Gloria, whatever. He also wrote a sequel to it called The Peeper, but was never able to get that off the ground. But then again, this was, like I said, the last legitimate film that Ed Wood made. After this, he basically started making pornography. Started with, like, softcore stuff, and then eventually got into full-fledged pornography. Which is why it's kind of funny that throughout this movie is basically a big, huge message about how evil pornography is. But then you're going to turn around and go start making it. The actor who played Lieutenant Carson, though, Ken Duncan, this was actually his last film. After this, he did a little bit of television before he died, but never did another movie. We don't know what the exact budget of the movie was, we just know it was somewhere around $20,000. And there's no box office to speak of. I don't know if it ever made that $20,000 back, which even back then was not a lot of money to make a movie. But Ed Wood was basically the kind of person who would take anything he could get to make a movie. Had a lot of unfinished projects. And very often when those projects didn't get finished, he would just splice them into other movies. But one thing that got him some funding on this was, as you can see, this film was very inspired by the 1960 Psycho film that came out that year. It was a huge, huge hit, so Ed Wood wanted to cash in on that. But you could have done better than this. However, as far as recommending the film, like other Ed Wood films, it's fun to riff. It's like most of his films, bad script, bad acting, bad directing, just thrown together, kind of lazy, in my opinion. Obviously being made by somebody who just wanted to get it done. So it's fun in that way to sit there and make fun of it. But I will say, among Ed Wood films, this one was actually the least fun to watch by itself. Honestly, if you want to see it to say you've seen all of Ed Wood's stuff, sure. But I would more recommend just go find the Mystery Science Theater 3000 edition of it, because it's a lot more fun than just the movie itself. But it is an Ed Wood movie, and therefore if you're an Ed Wood fan, then you need to check out the Sinister Urge. So there you have it. That's my movie review this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications when I post videos. I'll leave a comment I can respond to in my next comment corner. Tell me what you thought of the Sinister Urge. Tell me which of Ed Wood's movies was your favorite. Love you guys.